I like the M&Ms, I like the sprinkles, and I like the glazed donut.
For Colin Lewis,
that's right.
Ending up confused and alone at a donut shop wasn't part of his normal work commute. Have you taken Uber to work before in the past?
I often have, just on Mondays, Tuesdays, and Wednesdays.
Colin, whose dad says he's developmentally disabled with autism, has used Uber by himself more than 100 times.
It's been really good.
About 2 weeks ago, Colin was in an Uber as part of RTD's Accessoride program, a 2-year-old partnership designed to get people with disabilities to places faster without relying on slow shuttles. RTD pays for rides up to $25.
I was saying nice things to the driver before the Uber driver kicked me out.
At the busy corner of 6th and Calumet, Colin suddenly found himself alone.
She didn't say anything except the words, "Get out."
He goes, "Dad, the Uber driver kicked me out." There's all kinds of bad things that could happen. Yeah. He shouldn't be here by himself.
Colin's dad called Lamar's Donuts nearby. Employees took Colin in with a free donut and coffee.
And this is for you.
Later, Uber sent Colin's dad an email saying the driver felt uncomfortable.
He's a big dude, and maybe she was scared. I don't know.
It turns out Uber drivers are unaware when Accessoride clients use the app.
If you take someone who's clearly got a developmental disability, they should know.
We asked RTD about it. Do they know that they're picking up an Accessoride client?
No, they would not.
Is there any plans to change that then?
Not as long as it's under the current model.
Paul Hamilton, who oversees the program, says notifying Uber drivers of someone's disability would be illegal.
It would be very difficult to do that without quickly going into the territory of a HIPAA violation.
RTD says it plans to make it clear to clients Uber's service is much different than a shuttle with a trained driver.
The solution here in terms of lessons learned is to make sure that we do as good a job as possible in communicating what kind of service this is, what the limits are on the service. For this particular customer may not be a good fit for on-demand service, at least when traveling by themselves.
It was devastating.
Colin, who has used ride-sharing dozens of times before, doesn't plan to stop.
You get somebody like Colin, and he acts a little different than other people. You get it right away, I'm trying to give her the benefit of the doubt. She didn't understand.
We also checked in with Uber about this. A spokesperson wrote us back and said in a statement, Colin's reported experience is unacceptable, and we share in his family's disappointment and outrage. Our community guidelines prohibit denying service to those with disabilities, and we will take appropriate action. Uber says they are still investigating this incident. But there's a bit of sweet news here for Colin. Right after our interview wrapped up, Lamar's Donuts swooped in and gave him a year's worth of donuts, a little coupon. So he's happy with that.
Uber seems to be taking it very seriously. Colin's dad seems to understand what took place. Do you know, is this kind of a one-off, or is there a problem here that needs to be addressed in a broader sense?
That's a good question. They've done tens of thousands of these Uber rides under this RTD program, and for the most part, there's really never been a problem. This is the first time RTD has heard about something like this happening. That doesn't mean it hasn't happened before, but they are going to alert their customer base that, listen, Uber is different than an actual shuttle. But I was talking with Colin's dad and other people about this. There's a way you can notify the driver.
That's what I was wondering. What would they like? What would Colin's dad like?
Well, Colin's dad feels RTD needs to start notifying Uber, saying, hey, you're picking up someone that may have, a developmental disability.
Uber seems interested in trying to figure out a better way, at least in their response to you. Yeah. They understand what could happen, so we'll hopefully follow up on that as well.
We'll see what happens if anything changes.
Thanks, Jeremy.
Yeah.